One. Haven't you already been here this morning, Memo? I thought you've already been here and said hello. Or am I just having some crazy deja vu? Sup, Republic Bund as well, how are you doing today? As we jump into game number 1 of Just Towers. So I was trying to figure out what this was, what Nightend was trying to say. To the bottom left corner, from Invasion Esports, is going to be our blue Protoss player. It is Nightend. And then the upper right side of the map is going to be our red Zerg player. It's going to be from Menace. It is Zhugeliang. Dark Ones as well. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Guys, Dark Ones has opened the betting for this game, so if you want to get your Wardy points on the line, make sure you put your bets on. It's time to become a real-life Wardy point degenerate. Can't stop gambling them, I know how it is. Anyways, so hatch first on the low ground for Zhugeliang as he takes his natural, and we'll see if he's just going to be, okay, pool to follow up. So hatch, pool, probably hatch. If you wanted a gas, you'd probably go hatch, gas, pool. So this is probably just going to be hatch, pool, hatch opening here in the early stages of Dusk Towers. As we're going to see a probe coming across, and we'll look to see what it can get up to as it comes up this ramp. So moving up here, we see Nexus on the way back at home for Nightend very early in the game. So just a gate, Nexus, double gas, Cybercore on the way up very shortly. So for both players, nothing really too strange or too crazy at the very start of this. As we see the probe coming in and does just nibble away at some minerals, steals 5 of those away from the Zerg player. And we're going to see the probe just coming over to the right hand side and just having a little bit of a look to see. Okay, hatchery over here, perfect. Good stuff. So, very standard stuff so far at the start of this PvZ. We see a third hatch obviously down, which is very standard with the gasless style play. And we'll see Nightend just coming to see if the gases have been taken just yet. I mean, he's got a little while before this probe really gets chased away by queens and zerglings, so he may as well just come in and confirm and just see for how, just keep on checking for as long as he can, that there's no gas being taken, make sure that third isn't being cancelled and there's not some kind of crazy slow lingle in as well. That's the probe just going to end up leaving, backing away, and maybe just running back home, I suppose. There we go, probe on the way home. So, stuck around for as long as it could, really, and now we'll head home to basically see what exactly Nightend's going to go up to. I mean, Nightend's going to drop a Stargate, which is very standard, so Stargate opening, and we'll probably see him moving in towards a third base with this in the fairly near future. We saw Nightend play the other day in the SC2 ITL. We saw a lot of ZVPs from him. I think it was 3 in a row, so he generally likes to go for the single Stargate into an Oracle and then some Phoenix. And then he likes to follow up with the third base and double Robo to get the Immortal count going. And into that very standard Charge Lot Archon Immortal style of play. I was going to see this Overlord coming in from Zhugeliang towards the main now. So Overlord coming in towards the main, this Overlord just backing away a little bit. Obviously he's not going to... Oh, he could scout right now if he'd like to, I suppose, to try and see if there's any kind of super early tech coming down. But I imagine he's not going to be too concerned with doing that. We see Phoenix on the way up. So Phoenix being built here by Nightend. That's going to be popping out soon. So it's actually going to bypass the Oracle and go straight into the Phoenix. I wonder if he bypassed the Oracle the other days and I'm just not remembering correctly. Either way, he's going to go straight into Phoenix. So this first Overlord going to be turned away. But he gets the scout information that it is Phoenix playing. So immediately Zhugeliang is going to drop down a few Spore Crawlers. And yeah, just gets that for himself. Zhugeliang's ZVP's been looking really great lately. I remember casting IEM Katowice qualifiers. He took down Petit Drogo, and he also beat some other very strong Protoss players during the bracket. And as we see this couple of Phoenix just flying around, they'll find the other Overlord in towards the natural. And this is going to be another little bit of free damage done by these early on in the game. Nightend begins to drop his Forge, and the third base is also on the way down. So as we'd expect, very passive, slow opening from the Protoss player. As he just set up in towards his mid-game. As Zerg doing the exact same. Just going to be the lair on the way. And we'll see, two main kind of ways to play this out from the Zerg point of view. Either the Zerg's going to go for a Hydra Den for Hydras and Muscular Augments initially. Or they're going to go for a Hydra Den to then go into a Lurker Den very quickly. That's the two very common ways to play out the ZVP matchup nowadays. It all revolves around the Hydra Den basically, unless you go for some kind of Green Ravager Lingle in, which is this. This isn't going to be that with double Evo Chamber already on the way, and Lair on the way up is not going to be any kind of all in or anything. So, yeah. Cool. I'm going to see the Queen coming in, just pushing these Phoenix away a little bit as land finishes, and that's something the Phoenix pick up on, so nice thing to know about. There's the double Robo coming down. And I guess, you know, at this point with the double upgrades, I was going to say, yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. What I was going to say something. I was trying to remember what it was going to be, but I forgot. But it's going to be the fact that with double Evo Chamber, you can go into these melee upgrades, and that allows you a couple of different options. First of all, it makes you kind of Hive Tech very powerful if you want to jump up into Hive. Probably not for Ultras, but just for Broodlings in general. But it also allows you to kind of play a very heavy Zergling style with Lurkers or with Hydras, and be very effective with that. So we'll see what this is going to be out of Zhugeliang. I kind of get the feeling like a Lurker Den going to come down and play some Ling Lurker, and there it is, the Lurker Den does come down. And this is generally very suggestive of the fact that he just wants to go up to some Lurkers very quickly with the Lings to kind of help tank and to keep the units away from the Lurkers while they deal out the damage. And then, yeah, and then basically going to be, going in towards the Infestation Pit and looking to take up into Hive very quickly in the game. So that's probably what we're going to see here from our Pro's point of view. Again, Immortals are on the way out. We've got some Zealots getting Zealot charge. Plus one's on the way, plus two will start soon as well. And it's been a very, very standard sort of setup in the very early stages of this PvZ. We'll see the fourth hatch coming down from Zhugeliang now as well. Baneland Nest comes down from him too, which is a very common way lately to deal with the sort of the Zealot-based compositions. Baneland is actually very good against Zealots and Adepts. And we're going to see Infestation Pit just halfway done. So, Infestation Pit halfway done, and again, it's this kind of fast tech up into Hive, which we're expecting to see alongside Ling upgrades and the Lurker Den. And again, it's very passive, early stages of this game. You're not really looking to do too much here in the very early stages of this. We see the Zergling just off over to the left-hand side, will be picked off. And again, it's just all about building up and making sure you have enough when the Protoss player attacks, or from Protoss player's point of view, building up enough to make sure you have enough when you go for an attack yourself. Templar Archives is done. We see a few High Templar walking in, and no Storm just yet. They're mostly going to be just used for Archons in the early stages of this. Just going to see a Zergling being picked off. And just see just the Phoenix in the back. Just picking off a few more drones. So Phoenix continue to do some damage throughout the game. Been very effective so far actually. Units lost 13 drones, 3 Lings and 4 Overlords. Most of them of course due to the Phoenix, the Overlords and the Lings at least. So they've been pretty efficient. I mean that's what you expect from Phoenix, and when you scout Phoenix as a Zerg, you just kind of drone up more than you usually would, just to kind of make up for the fact that Phoenix are inevitably going to pick off some Workers, some Overlords around the map as well. I'm going to have a Couture pushing out here a little bit. Couture continue to push out, actually just around. And we're going to see Creep just being pushed all the way out onto the map, which is something which Nightend is going to start cleaning up when he starts to move across here. Single Zergling just kind of checking for maybe War Prisms coming across. Just a little bit of map vision from Zhugeliang. Never goes amiss. There's that Hive and Spire on the way too. 2-2 also coming up. So as Zerg continues to just check into everything he can, obviously looking to go late game, which is again what we've talked about a lot so far this game. Just with the Lurker defense, the Spines, Spores, Zerglings. I mean, it all just kind of points towards him being very defensive until he gets up into Hive. And with the Hive and Spire, you're expecting to see that Greater Spire start up almost immediately once that Hive is finished. And yeah. Cool, so we're going to see another Zergling getting picked away out here. And just again, a couple of Spines, a couple of Spores into the front. It's just, again, very passive game, not really a lot going on. We see Hive finishes and Adrenal Gland starts up. We'll see Zhugeliang continuing to take up. And for Nightend, it's all about hitting this kind of pre-Hive timing at this point of the game. And if he doesn't hit the pre-Hive timing, then he's really got to start focusing on the... what's it called? As we see some seconds running on by. Really got to start focusing on getting his own Stargates up and getting into his own late game. But for another charge here to help deal with these Zerglings, maybe he's a Warp in behind the Zealot. He will get another Zealot in time. It looks as though he'll be able to fill the gap. So them Zerglings do go down as Nightend continues to push in this position. War Prism in the main gets picked off by Corruptors, but a few Zealots do get off over here. A few Banelings getting ready to go to help out against the Zealots in the front of this army. And we're going to see this army, which kind of naturally kind of clumps up, I suppose, is why the Banelings are fairly okay against it. We don't really want to see the Baners going off on just a single Zealot over there, though. As we're going to see, yeah, units getting ready to go here. There's a lot of lurkers going to have good kind of setup here with the sport cores to kind of block, as we see this Protoss army taking a lot of damage, but it's starting to break on through. The Baners connect on a lot of these units, but the kind of the Mortals and the Archons left over in the back, not enough to take those down just yet, and so this might just be a little bit too much for Nightend. He pushes through this position. 6 Broodlords now on the way, though. And this is the thing, the Broodlords are, you know, there's no answer for the Broodlords yet. So Nightend's going to get a lot of damage done initially. It's very possible that we just end up seeing Zhugeliang sort of stabilize a little bit because of the Broods. But maybe there's just a little bit too much. A lot of Zealots left over here. There's no anti-air though, so again, these Broods will eventually clean up this army, and maybe Nightend is overcommitting by continuing to push into this position. And, well, now we're going to have to see him walk in some Stalkers, but without a blink or anything, it's going to be very difficult. 3 Void Rays do start up, as these Broodlords will take a long time to clean up all of these units, sure. And so maybe it's just going to be a little bit too long, I guess. A little bit too long. As the Broods continue to unload Broodlings on top of this army. A couple more Mortals getting surrounded, then Broodlings chasing. We're going to see 1, 2 Mortals being chased away. But I mean, another base goes down, so at this point it probably is very unlikely that Zhugeliang makes any kind of comeback in this. If Nightend had backed away, maybe before he gets ready, you know, maybe Zhugeliang can get 4th base back up and running before he attacks again, and maybe he can just hold on a little bit. But in this case, there's just been too much damage taken. As we see, Broods continue to come across the map, circling us as well. And this is pretty much just going to be game over at this point. I mean, there's still this kind of, you know, few Broodlords, but the Void Rays are now out, and 3 Voids are going to be more than enough against what is a severe lack of anti-air to protect these Broodlords. So, Nightend should be able to hold on against this, and looks like game number 1 going to go his way. Zhugeliang, what really went wrong for him? Maybe the Baners weren't as effective as he maybe thought they were going to be. Maybe a few more Lurkers necessary to help him hold on as he headed in towards this Hive Tech. I was going to see the Broods still just pushing across the map. I mean, the thing is, Nightend's right to just wait a little bit. I mean, he's in no rush to kill his opponent's army, so you may as well just wait a little while to get a couple more Voids. I mean, the few Corruptors that are slowly coming in and being added into this army aren't really going to make a major difference. Corruptors go down pretty quickly, as we're just going to see this army starting to push forwards. Voids just want to latch onto these Broods and Corruptors as fast as they can. And there we go, they're going to see them start to pop, and there we go, target firing down on the Broodlords. They're going down very quickly, as you can see. Void's very good against these. The Corruptors as well will go down very quickly once the Voids start targeting them. And that's just going to be GG. So Zhugeliang taking way too much damage from the timing, the pre-Hive timing from Nightend. And Nightend takes game number 1 in this best of 3 in today's Sunday's GO4SC2 150 Euro Cup here in the quarterfinals. I'm going to just refresh the bracket to kind of keep you guys up to date with what is going on. So Nightend plays Zhugeliang in the upper quarterfinal. In the second quarterfinal, Botvinnik is currently in game against Snoot still. So that is still ongoing. I think they're in game number 2 now. As we move on down, Bly plays Teffel in the third quarterfinal. And we have down to the very bottom of the bracket, Tails, Hanfi, and Rail. Tails and Hanfi in the round of 16. Winner of that plays Rail in the round of 8 in the quarters. So, as we get set up, ready to go into this next game, game number 2, Zhugeliang going to have Laurelak Crest as his map to try and win this on. Not the map where you want to kind of rush up and try and go into very fast Hive, because it's a much smaller map than Dust Towers, a lot harder to defend 4 bases on. So we're going to get ready to jump into game number 2, and this should be a big change up here from Zhugeliang in terms of what he wants to go for. Maybe he kind of puts on the aggression. We saw Bly being very aggressive on this map against Rodson in the round of 16. Maybe here we see Zhugeliang being aggressive himself, and it should look very different to Dust Towers basically. Now we're going to have to tap out of this and jump into Nightend's own-made lobby, just because he has quite a lot of issues with the kind of lobby bug, which is a bit of a shame. It's very frustrating to deal with when you keep trying to join a lobby and it just doesn't work. And it's very, very frustrating to deal with. As we get ready to jump into game number Well, that's really weird. Nightend has literally made his own lobby. And or maybe we got invited into the lobby. I've joined it. Okay, so we're going to wait for Nightend to host this up. And we'll be going into game number 2. Again, Lower Crest will be our map. I'll just wait for this to get ready to go. Again, what's up in the chat, guys? How's everyone doing? Thanks for dropping by once again. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out again to Penguin, who hosted us up a half hour, an hour or so ago. Appreciate it. I was going to go for attempt number 3 at joining this lobby. Third time lucky. Hey, there we go. Lower Crest going to be our map as we get our casters in, our players in, and we get set and ready to go. Perfect. Beautiful. Exactly what we want to see. As we got Zhugeliang in here, we're just waiting for a couple more casters. And then we should be alright and again just set and ready. So hopefully just a couple of minutes. Going to refresh the bracket again, see if anything's updated in the last couple of moments. Don't think anything has. Still in game with Botvinnik, I can see on my friends list. Blyteffel, and yeah, nothing's really changed from what we said last time, so no real changes in the bracket still. The winner of Nightend Zhugeliang does play against the winner of Botvinnik Snoot in the semis, and that's what we're hoping to be able to kind of go into as our next game, as our next series here. If things work out and the timing works out, that's what we're going to be aiming for. So what would you have? I mean, a lot of Zergs left over still, a Terran, a couple more Zergs, a Protoss, and then a Terra Protoss and a Zerg. So lots of Zergs, as always. We see a lot of PvZ in these online cups very frequently. As we get ready to jump into our next game. So, into the game we go. Perfect. Always a little bit sad when it takes a little while to jump in, but we're set, we're ready. And let's bring you guys some action as we have to the upper left side of the map. Have red Protoss player from Invasion Esports is going to be Nightend. And down to the bottom left is going to be our blue Zerg player from Menace. Team Menace. And it's going to be our blue Zerg from Finland. It is Zhugeliang. So, as we get set up into this, we see Nightend scanning very early on, expanding in a very, what looks like a very weird location to begin with, but the idea is that he doesn't want to wall off over here, as we saw Rodson trying to do against Bly earlier. He's going to wall off with his Nexus, so his Nexus comes out to about there, I think, so something like there, so you'll have another building here, another pylon or so, or something like that to help wall off, and he'll wall off the next, and that means he has something to put his units behind. It's a lot harder for the Lings to run in and deny the wall off, etc., like we saw happening earlier on. This probe decides to turn around and decides to come back home. So probe going to come back home and have a little bit of a look to see what is happening. And just, you know, apparently he doesn't want to go across the map and scout anymore. Apparently he just had enough of all that nonsense. He actually sent out a second probe scout, which was probably why he pulled that probe back. Just kind of weird to send out a second probe scout, maybe very eager to see what's going on early. You just see hatch gas pool, so already we're talking about this map probably going to be very different for the Zerg plane. We're already starting to see that a little bit now, as we have the hatch gas pool rather than the hatch pool hatch opening. So it'll be a bit of a later third hatchery, much faster Zergling speed, and a lot more aggressive options available to Zhugeliang in the very early stages of this game. So probe going to move out of the natural and over to the right hand side slightly. You see this Nexus going to be finishing up shortly, and again Cybercore and Zealot can join this wall here as well. He might just block it off with a pylon behind, but it's just a wall, you know. Of course the Zerglings can still kind of run through this left hand side or so and come around and attack, but then it's very much more choked up. Then there's open space, there's, you know, places to kind of, you know, shove your units up against, walls to shove your units up against to keep them safe, stop them being surrounded quite as easily as this probe going to be chased away by the lone Zergling here. Lone Zergling is on the hunt, but will be greeted by a Zealot, and the Zealot is going to pick up the kill, so nice little start. Nothing really too major though, single Zergling being lost doesn't really matter all too much. As Zhugeliang going to opt for the third hatchery now. So third hatch coming down, and Zhugeliang setting this up. Fourth hatch is going to be available to him down here at some point as well. Sometimes we see Zerg players opting for this hatch early, which is going to be harder to defend early on, but it means that it's very easy to take your fourth base if you're under pressure, and you don't have to worry about getting that set up as much. It also allows your creep spread already out onto the map, although I guess the creep spread here lets you to creep over this set of rocks and out onto the map pretty quickly too. It just kind of means that the creep spread is more developed around your bases, I think, more so if you take this base down here first. Nothing really too major. Those again we see Nightend basically has now a complete wall set up from this over here along over here with the Zealot to fill in the hole. So wall set up, as we see Nightend once again with the Stargate. Phoenix play once more, and very standard for him. Nothing really too crazy about this. Exactly the same as we saw in that last game. Rotron coming down from Zhugeliang going to make a big difference from what we saw in the last game from him, which was much later Rotron. We never really saw him make roaches at all. There was really a focus on it was really focused on just Lings and Hydras in that last game. And we just didn't see the Rotron coming up, definitely not before the lair anyways. We did see a Rotron being built, it just wasn't ever used. So much earlier Rotron here, just to help in case of any aggression from our Zerg player. We'll just see a couple of Adepts on the way up. 3 Adepts already out, and with a 4th one about to pop as well. Well, there's definitely a possibility that we see some pressure across the map from our Protoss to try and just make sure the Zerg's made enough units, make sure the Zerg's not being too greedy, and keeping the Zerg's drone count honest, I'd like to say. Just making sure, he's not massed up to more Zerglings than he should have. 7 roaches on the way out. Zhugeliang, 8 roaches now. Has cut drones, and so might go for a bit of an aggressive attack time in here across the map. Evolution Chamber on the way for himself. There's a lot of things coming up towards this top right side. And it looks as though with Overlord speed finished, he might go for a little bit of drop play over to this side. So this could be interesting. Drop in with the Overlords, and well, let's see what happens. We're going to see the Phoenix are looking for something like this. They come over to the right-hand side. They won't quite find anything just yet because they don't go far enough over here. And that's going to be a little bit of a shame, as we're going to see roaches starting to move out through the center. And this is the sort of thing that, basically that Protoss players have been really struggling to deal with, this sort of aggression out of Zergs. The Overlords are morphing into ventral sacks. And so these Lings are going to be able to load up into them in a moment or two. And there we go, 16 Lings and 2 Overlords. Roaches are sighted here. Membership calls out of position though, so the phone overcharge is not going to be in position initially. We're going to see this first pylon already taking some damage to his left-hand side. That's going to go down very quickly here. We're going to see him moving away, just away from the phone overcharge. Thinking about where he wants to go next. He continues to stream Zerglings and Roaches across the map. These drops are probably going to go into towards the main, not too much use going in towards the third. He already has access to the third through this kind of entrance into the natural. So we're going to see these Adepts, these Phoenix, doing their best to try and help out. The phone overcharge helping a little bit, especially against the Zerglings, which are getting up close and personal to the Adepts. Phoenix slowly lifting units and trying to help out, but here we go, dropping them in. And this is where Nightend is really going to start running into issues, because now he has to control on 2 different fronts. He just doesn't really have any units at all. We're going to see a couple of robo facilities finishing up. He'll immediately start 2 Immortals. See a Void Ray is going to pop out, and this is going to help to clean up these Roaches. Probes also being pulled, but in the main base, these Zerglings getting a lot of damage done. This Forge is going to be unpowered in a couple of moments. And this Nexus is almost definitely going to be going down at some point soon. As okay, the Void Ray will pick off 5 Roaches already, but is it enough? Is it in time? Well, no, that's the problem. It's just not fast enough. We're going to see these Zerglings trying to go after a few more probes. Phone overcharge AI will be messing this up ever so slightly though, as that main Nexus will go down, and these probes just continue to be pulled all over the place. Lings will hit this third base now as well, so main and third probably going to end up dying. And Nightend just going to take in way too much damage. So again, like we mentioned, big change up here in game number 2 from Zhugeliang, much more aggressive style of play. And this aggression is something which Protoss players have been having such a hard time dealing with lately, since the phone overcharge nerf. You're going to see these Lings wrapping around these Immortals. Void Ray doesn't deal with Zerglings very quickly at all. That's something an Oracle is more suited to deal with. And so these Zerglings will pick off the Immortals. They'll pick off this Adept. Still Lings in from the main base, and well, the Mothership Core is running low on energy. There's not going to be enough to defend. Too much damage has been taken down to just one base. Nightend has no option other than to tap on out and to let Zhugeliang tie things up. So 1 game apiece now in this best of 3. As Snoot and Botfnick are out of game, so perhaps we end up seeing, yes, we'll see the winner of this playing against Snoot in the semi-finals, so that will be our next match, as we wait to see what map number 3 will be. And re-logging, because once again he is having issues with his lobby. Tefl takes down Bly, moves into the round of 4. Very interesting result there. Bly has been a little bit off lately. It's kind of fallen off a lot from the start. Hanfi takes down Tails, and that means he sets himself up with a ZVP against Verdi or Rail in the round of 8. So Verdi or Hanfi will play against Teffel in the round of 4, and we'll follow the winner of this match against Snoot in the semi-finals as well in a couple of minutes after this next game. Obviously, we've got to go into game number 3 first. As we get ready to jump into Prime Terraces for map number 3. An interesting map since the change. Seen a lot of different strategies, and this is a map which Zerg players still like to be aggressive on, with the kind of double gold base they can take early, and catching the Protoss off guard while they try and take their own fast third base. Something like the Queen push, which I was been mentioning a couple of times already. That's something we're very likely to see on this map as well, as we get ready to go into Prime Terraces here in just a few moments' time. PvZ. And it's going to be the matchup, of course, for this third game. And it's so tough. It's all about scouting, I think, and it's all about scouting, but it's so hard to scout that this sort of thing is coming your way. If you can scout, then you know to kind of give up the third base. I mean, he didn't really try to defend the third base though. It's just the attack at the front that was just way too much. And seeing it earlier, maybe a fast avoider can help out a lot, I suppose. It's very tough for Protoss in the current metagame. The Zerg aggression is just way too good, I think. Someone asked about balance, actually, during the last break, and I didn't actually reply to your question. I just kind of remembered that you asked, but I think Zerg is way too good right now, in ZVP especially. Not in the late game. Actually, very late game is way too Protoss favored. I don't think very late game Zerg can beat the Protoss army. Protoss late game army, like with Carrier Tempest, Void, is way too good. If you have the right composition. But the Zerg early game is also way too good, way too strong. And then the mid game is sort of even, maybe a little bit Protoss favored as well. So I don't know, I think it's just because the Zerg is able to do so many aggressive timings, it makes it very difficult for the Protoss player to really get into the mid game, or to get to the stage of the game where Protoss is, favored. So we see Zerg being very strong basically right now. But I think if they fixed the Zerg early game, then what we would probably see is that Protoss would be very favoured in the matchup from the mid game and late game. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It's tough for Protoss players right now, although a lot of them are still playing very greedily, just because they kind of, I guess they sort of have to play greedy to kind of keep up with the Zerg, but then sometimes this aggression hits them, and well, then you're in a bit of trouble. It's weird, it's tough. It is, it's not easy at all. As we have to the left side of the map, it will be our blue Protoss player. It's going to be Invasion Esports Nightend. This is the bottom right from Team Menace. Our red Zerg player is going to be Zhugeliang. So, hatch pool to start things off, and this is what we saw from him when he wanted to go for a fast third hatchery last time around. The hatch pool hatch. We're going to just see hatch pool gas this time. So hatch pool gas to kick things off. Nightend just poking in and having a look to see just what's going on. So sees actually doesn't see the gas, which is maybe a little bit misleading for him. Comes over and just starts to block the third base to stop that being taken too early on. So again, the same old gate expand from Nightend in the early stages. And so let's talk about what usually happens on this map. So the Zerg generally tends to try and take this gold base very early, and the Protoss tends to try and take this gold base quite early on too, to make sure they don't fall behind in terms of gold base mining. It's very interesting because it sort of forces a faster fourth base than usual, because of the fact that your gold base does mine out faster. You can't have as many workers on it too, so it sees a faster fourth base than usual, so we can very quickly see the game escalate into a late game scenario. But I'm yet to really see a kind of super late game PvZ setup on this map lately, because what we generally see is that the Zergs, because they can take their second gold base a little bit earlier, it really helps them out in terms of the economy, and it means that any kind of timing they have is still going to be amplified. It's not going to be amplified as much as it used to be when they had 2 gold bases over the Protoss. But that 1 extra gold base is going to really help to amplify any kind of all-in. And we see, again, a lot of kind of Roach Ravager timings on this sort of map, especially against Protoss players who are trying to negate the, especially against Protoss players who are trying to negate the Zerg's greed or the Zerg's gold base by taking their own fast gold base as well. As we're going to see the Zerglings just coming in over to the left-hand side. Just having a little bit of a poke around to see what is up, see what is happening. Stargate on the way down from Nightend as well. So Stargate coming down. And as we see this, a couple of Lings having to back away from the Mothership core. So a couple of Lings having to back away. We're going to see the Hatchery coming down. At the 3rd base, and well, Stargate on the way for Nightend. So a very standard start from him so far. Very similar to that last game. Just has to try and keep on top of what's coming his way and prepare. And a couple of situations as well, as we see these couple of Lings from Zhugeliang going to be spoken up, having a little bit of a peek. Backs away now. Oracle is on the way down out from Nightend, so he's going to change things up a little bit here. And actually, Zhugeliang not going to be aggressive himself at all. He's gone into a very fast lair, which is going to be very interesting. So, Zhugeliang going to start at this lair. We're going to see injects popping. What comes out of the lair? This faster lair is generally not for kind of a super fast Hydroden or anything. Maybe a Nidus? It's going to be a Hydroden. Very fast Hydroden though. Intrigued to see where he goes with this. I guess actually maybe not that fast. Maybe just kind of similar timing to Dust Towers. This Zergling just coming down to the upper right. There's the Oracle going to fly in and, well, seems to be a little bit careful because there's a Spore Cooler here. And that couple of hits he takes off the Spore Cooler is actually maybe not enough to kind of end it, but Zhugeliang pulls back. Oh! Oracle goes down. Got some McQueen. But killing the Oracle is actually pretty nice as well. We see a Void Ray coming up here early from Nightend, which is kind of a safety feature, I think. Just helps him against any kind of Roach-based poachers. See a lot of Lings on the way out from Zhugeliang after killing that Oracle, which I kind of like. He's also going for the Hydra speed, the muscular augments, and so he's going to play a Ling Hydra sort of aggressive style here. No upgrades, just Ling Hydra trying to bust down this 3rd base. So still, despite teching up, still looking to be aggressive, basically. But he'll have some follow-ups on this, unlike his kind of previous build, which is very tech-limited, with no lair or anything like that. This build already has a lair, already has Hydras. He's just going to be, lacking upgrades, basically. A few units just sitting outside the natural, as we're going to see a few Hydras starting to push their way across. 7 more Hydras being made right now. Another Oracle was made and is coming across the map to try and further some harassment and just try and scout, see if anything is coming across the map. I don't think he spotted those Hydras there. You will see some of them coming across now as he runs into these Hydras. So Zhugeliang getting into an aggressive posture now. He needs to be careful, doesn't want to fight before it's too early. The Zerglings are a key part of this as well, remember. They're going to be needed to tank to keep these Hydras alive, while the Hydras really deal out the damage from the back of this army. Zerglings poking up the ramp, having a little bit of a look to see what's going on, what they can get up to. Answer is not a lot just yet. As we're going to see this Oracle from Nightend. Just moving it around and continue to look to see what it can get up to. Another phone overcharge going to be popped. And this Ling Hydra Force, what's it going to do? Going to start coming up the ramp as we're going to see a couple of more about to pop. One of these robots in a lot of trouble. Oracle in a little trouble as well. Zhugeliang is put in a bit of a weird position now, kind of stuck in one base while Zhugeliang might try and hit the other. He's going to turn around and start fighting this with these Hydras. They don't have much to tank for them. The Zergling count is running low. And Nightend warps in from the high ground. He's going to start pushing this back. Zealot's starting to charge on through. We're going to see this Void Ray will go down. Is there just a few too many Hydras here from Zhugeliang? This looked okay for Nightend initially, but now not so much, as we see cannons and a photon overcharge popped up here. But now these robots are in a little bit of trouble, and Nightend has to come down. He's about to get charged though. That's going to help out a lot in this, as this Immortal pops out. And well, Immortals are okay when they have their barriers up, but apart from their barriers, they die pretty quickly to these Hydralisks, as we're going to see these couple of Immortals going down to the right hand side. And Zhugeliang it didn't look as though he's going to work. You have to get this to work initially, but it looks as though he's really starting to get into that sort of position where he's doing enough. Nightend needs a few more gates. He's got 3 more gates coming up. It's not over yet. It's just about this army which Zhugeliang already has, which makes this difficult. If Nightend can get a couple more gates up and warp in a whole bunch more zealots, he might still be okay against this. Just going to see these zealots going to be coming in, charging that finish, but there's just so many Hydras that they just kill them off so quickly as they're charging in. It's just this point where the Zerg players just got so many Hydras that the Protoss just can't warp in enough to deal with it. The early stages of this just went way too in favor of the Zerg, and 2 kind of very aggressive builds in a row from Zhugeliang is what's going to end up taking it. Nightend types out really well played, and a GG.